case that changed true crime forever, the case of HAE Lee and ADNAN SYED. Imagine spending more than 20 years in prison for a murder you say you didn't commit, and then one day, a podcast comes out. Not new evidence, not a detective, not a lawyer, a podcast. And suddenly, millions of people around the world start asking the same question. What if the wrong person went to prison? This isn't just a murder case. It's a story about memory, about public opinion, about how easily a narrative can become the truth, even when parts of it don't make sense. And honestly, that might be the scariest part. Context. In 1999, a high school student named HAE Lee disappeared. At first, it seemed like one of those cases where people assume the person will eventually come home. Maybe she needed space. Maybe something unexpected happened. But she never came back. And within weeks, the case transformed from a missing person investigation into a homicide. Years later, most people believed the story was already finished. The boyfriend did it. He got convicted. Case closed. But then, in 2014, everything changed. A journalist named Sarah Koenig released a podcast called Serial, and somehow, an old murder case from Baltimore turned into a global obsession. Millions of people listened, not because the case was especially violent, not because it was the most shocking murder ever, but because the deeper you looked, the less certain everything became. And suddenly, people weren't just asking who killed HAE Lee. They were asking something even more uncomfortable. Did the justice system actually get it wrong? HAE Lee was born in South Korea in 1980. When she was 12, she moved to the United States with her family. And imagine what that must have been like. New country, new language, new culture. At that age, most people are still figuring out who they are. And suddenly, everything around you changes. But according to the people who knew her, HAE adapted quickly. She was outgoing, funny, energetic, the kind of person who made friends easily. By 1999, she was a student at Woodlawn High School in Baltimore. And by all accounts, she was thriving. Sports, clubs, friends, work. She played lacrosse and field hockey, managed the wrestling team, worked part-time at LensCrafters, and somehow still maintained good grades. Everyone described her the same way. Bright, confident, full of energy. And there's something important about that, because when someone like that disappears, people notice immediately. In 1998, HAE started dating a classmate, ADNAN SYED. And on paper, they made sense together. Both smart, both part of advanced academic programs, both children of immigrant families. But they also came from different worlds, different religions, different expectations. So their relationship stayed mostly private, especially from family. And honestly, that dynamic matters more than people realize. Because when relationships have to exist in secret, everything becomes more emotionally intense. The highs feel higher, the lows feel heavier, and breakups can feel devastating. Eventually, after about a year together, they broke up. December 1998. And not long after that, he started seeing someone else, a co-worker named Don. And this is where people immediately form a theory. Ex-boyfriend, new relationship, jealousy. It's simple, almost too simple. And that's important. Because the human brain loves stories that make emotional sense, especially in murder cases. We want motives that feel familiar, and jealous exes fit perfectly into that narrative. January 13th, 1999, the day HAE disappeared. And at first, nothing about the day seemed unusual. She arrived at school early, helped prepare materials for classmates, talked to friends, attended classes, completely normal. Multiple people saw her, and nobody noticed anything strange. No panic, no fear, no sign that within hours, everything would change. Around 2:15 p.m., school ended. HAE left campus in her grey Nissan Sentra. She was supposed to pick up her younger cousin from daycare later that day. But she never arrived, and this is usually the moment where reality starts shifting for families. At first, it's annoyance, maybe confusion, then concern, then panic. Because the longer someone disappears, the more your mind starts creating possibilities. Car trouble, phone dead, accident. You try to stay logical until eventually you can't anymore. By nighttime, her family contacted police, and suddenly, a missing person case began. Build up. Police searched everywhere. The routes she usually drove, the school area, places friends thought she might visit. Nothing. No hair, no car, no explanation. And what makes disappearances so psychologically disturbing is the uncertainty. When someone dies suddenly, as horrible as it is, at least there's an answer. But when someone vanishes, your brain keeps searching. Every phone call matters, every rumor matters, every possibility stays alive. For nearly a month, that's where the case stayed. Until February 9th, when a man named Alonzo Sellers, known as Mr. S, made a horrifying discovery in Leakin Park, a body, partially buried. At first, he didn't even understand what he was looking at, but once police arrived, they confirmed it. It was Hae-min Lee. She had been strangled. No gunshot wounds, no stabbing, and just ligature marks on her neck. And there's something deeply personal about strangulation cases, because unlike other forms of violence, it requires closeness, time, pressure. It's not distant, it's intimate. And psychologically, that often changes how investigators think about motive. The investigation intensified immediately. Police interviewed classmates, teachers, friends, family. And one detail kept repeating. The last confirmed time anyone saw Hae was around 2 p.m. at school. After that, nothing. And then, an anonymous phone call came in. The caller suggested investigators look at ADNAN SYED, her ex-boyfriend, and just like that, the direction of the case shifted. Now, to be fair, statistically, police often start with the people closest to the victim. Partners, exes, family members. That's normal. But sometimes, once investigators form an early theory, everything afterwards starts filtering through that lens. And I think that's something people underestimate, how powerful first impressions are, especially in criminal investigations. When police spoke to ADNAN, he stayed calm. He admitted he saw Hae at school that day, which everyone already knew. Nothing immediately stood out. No physical evidence connected him to the crime. No witnesses saw him attack her. No DNA. Nothing concrete. And for a while, the case stalled again until another name appeared, Jay Wilds. Jay wasn't a close friend of Hae's. He was connected through ADNAN. And according to a woman named Jen, Jay had told her something disturbing on the very day Hae disappeared. That ADNAN killed her. Now imagine being Jen. Your friend suddenly tells you something insane. Something that sounds almost unbelievable. At first, you assume it's a joke or exaggeration, because normal people don't casually confess involvement in murder stories. But then, his body is found, and suddenly, what sounded ridiculous feels terrifyingly real. When police interviewed Jay, everything changed, because Jay didn't just tell a story. He gave details, specific details, and according to him, ADNAN showed him Hae's body in the trunk of her car. Then later, they buried her together in Leakin Park, and this is where the case basically turns. Because at first, police weren't even sure they believed him, until Jay said something critical. "I know where the car is." And when police followed him, the car was there, exactly where he said it would be. And from that moment on, Jay became the center of the entire case. But here's where things start getting complicated, because Jay's story kept changing, not slightly. Major details, where he saw the body, what time things happened, where they met, when the burial occurred. Version after version kept shifting. And normally, that would be a huge problem. Because if someone is your key witness, consistency matters. A lot. Especially when there's almost no physical evidence. And this is the part I think people miss. Memory is unreliable, especially under pressure, especially years later. But murder investigations aren't supposed to work like internet theories. You can't just say, well, close enough. If someone's life is on the line, details matter. And yet somehow, despite all the inconsistencies, Jay's story became the backbone of the prosecution. Then came the cell phone evidence. Investigators argued that Adnan's phone pinged towers near Leakin Park, suggesting he was there during the burial. At the time, that sounded convincing, because in 1999, most people didn't fully understand how cell tower data worked. Honestly, most people still don't, but years later. Experts started questioning how reliable those records actually were, especially incoming call data. And suddenly, one of the strongest pieces of evidence didn't seem so strong anymore. In 2000, Adnan Syed was convicted of first-degree murder, life in prison, plus 30 years. And for many people, that was the end of the story. Case solved. But not everyone felt convinced, because underneath the conviction, there were still unanswered questions. No DNA, no eyewitnesses, no direct physical evidence tying Adnan to the murder, just Jay's testimony, and a timeline that kept shifting. Then there's the library witness, Asia McLean. She claimed she saw Adnan in the library during part of the timeline. Prosecutors argued he was committing the murder. And according to her, he seemed completely normal, calm, not angry about the breakup, not emotional, just normal. But her testimony was never deeply pursued, and this became one of the biggest frustrations for people later reviewing the case, because whether she was right or wrong, an alibi should matter, especially in a murder trial. Then came serial, and honestly, I don't think people fully understand how massive this podcast was. It changed true crime forever. Before serial, podcasts weren't really dominating mainstream culture. After serial, everyone suddenly became an armchair investigator. And Sarah Koenig approached the case differently. She didn't say Adnan was innocent. She didn't say he was guilty. She focused on uncertainty. And uncertainty drives people insane. Because once you start noticing inconsistencies, you can't stop seeing them. The podcast exploded. Hundreds of millions of downloads, documentaries, news coverage, internet debates, and suddenly, a murder case from 1999 became global again. Not because new evidence appeared immediately, but because people started questioning how the original investigation was handled. And then, more than 20 years later, everything shifted again. In 2022, the conviction was overturned, not because the court declared Adnan innocent, but because prosecutors failed to disclose critical information. 2 alternate suspects had existed from the beginning. One had even threatened HAE, and that information was never given to the defense. That's called a Brady violation, which is basically the legal system admitting important evidence was hidden. And once that happens, the integrity of the entire trial becomes questionable. Then DNA testing came back. Modern testing, far more advanced than what existed in 1999. And the DNA found on HAE's shoes didn't match Adnan. No biological evidence connected him to the murder. After more than 2 decades in prison, Adnan walked free. And this is where the case becomes bigger than one murder, because now there are 2 terrifying possibilities. Either Adnan Syed spent over 20 years in prison for something he didn't do, or a guilty man walked free because the investigation was handled poorly. And honestly, Both possibilities are horrifying. I think what makes this case so addictive is that people want certainty. We want closure. We want the final answer. But real life doesn't always work like documentaries. Sometimes evidence is messy. Sometimes witnesses lie. Sometimes memories change. And sometimes the justice system gets tunnel vision. Once investigators believe they know the answer, every new fact starts getting interpreted to support that theory. And that's dangerous. And I think the biggest takeaway here isn't actually about Adnan or Jay or even Serial. It's about how much power narratives have. Because once a story feels emotionally believable, people stop questioning it. The jealous ex-boyfriend narrative made sense, so people accepted it. But making sense isn't the same thing as being true. And even now, nobody officially knows who killed Hae-Min Lee, which means after all these years, after all the media, after all the arguments, the most important question still doesn't have an answer. Who actually did it? And maybe that's why this case still haunts people, not because it's the most brutal murder case, but because it forces you to sit with uncertainty. And uncertainty is something humans are really bad at accepting.